Hello Sudden players, I am an aspiring game developer with dreams of pursuing my career in the United States. You can call me simply by my codename Jin. Alright. The major advantage of using 64-bit software is that one is not limited with memory capacity. So if implemented correctly, one should never get any out-of-memory error message, assuming their system is sufficient. Not only that, but the hardware can be utilized at better potential with its new architecture. Lastly, thanks to its sufficient cache, with all combined, the performance of the application could go up noticeably. Although, it won't be as significant due to Sudden being a single-core game. In theory, one should be fine running Windows 7, even after the patch is applied. The bigger problem is that support is nearly dead. Like Chromium already dropped support for legacy versions. Even Steam mentioned they would drop support for Windows 7 and Windows 8 starting in 2024. So in conclusion, there will be no problem until the final nail in the coffin for support. I still suggest users to upgrade their OS however. There are multiple reasons behind this, but if I had to point out, they may have an outdated component. No one really needs a fast drive in reality, but if someone still owns something like SATA SSDs without DRAM, then those people would definitely be beneficial to upgrades. Not only that, but the RAM speed may matter here as well. If someone is running slow speed like DDR4 2400 MHz as of now, well, it's time for them to upgrade too. The reason why your GPU goes up as high as 99% is that you are generating infinite amount of frames in lobby, without any limit. It may be highly likely that Nexon dropped support for its workstation service dependency. Don't know why they had it at first place. Nvidia's frame limiter is generally on weak level in my opinion, and I prefer to use third-party software like RTSS to limit. For the processor, i3-8100 or Athlon 3000G would technically be sufficient. For the GPU, I say one should have minimum GTX 750 Ti, 1030, or RX 550. For the RAM, one should have at least 8GB with rated speed for one's processor. For the storage, just get any TLC NVMe SSD, they are cheap now. No need to go expensive with Samsung SSDs anymore. Choose whichever size fits you the best. At least 256GB is enough if you only play Sudden. Making a 1000Hz support is not so difficult, however sniper rifle users will most likely complain about how different it feels than usual. I won't mention how one can modify the code due to game source code security issues, but I can assure you that it won't be as complex. Moreover, to add a cherry on top, I recommend there should be a 1000Hz option within the game settings. Technically yes, but that would be a tremendous amount of work for Nexon. There are other games that use Jupyter Engine and look incredibly good, but even so, the version that Sudden is using is very outdated, which means that Nexon would have to update the version. It's not an easy job by any chance, not to mention Nexon made its own patch that offsets from how Jupyter Engine works. I believe they started doing this since Dinosaur, Final Zone, or 2.0 patch, when unsupported textures started appearing. Therefore, unless they squeeze the developers out, they would be better off making a new Sudden. Sudden 2 actually had potential for this, except Nexon's greed and awful choice killed the game entirely. Regarding about game resolution, it is possible, however, Sudden has a weird trait on how it deals with X and Y for its UI elements. On default, it was created for 800 by 600 resolution, so if someone decides to just stretch it out without any proper modification, it will end up like this. There is a way to rearrange the UI configuration, but that means one needs to take some time working on this. For example, each and every common 16:9 resolutions such as 1920 by 1080, 2560 by 1440 needs an adjustment. Also, there are issues that involve FOV, such as game looks stretched than usual, and to fix this, there needs to be more objects rendered at the same time. If they do not take any action about this, then users with 16:9 would have more advantage with accuracy due to recoil pattern being compressed horizontally. There will definitely be several problems if mishandled. First off, Sudden-Attack, unlike other current Jupiter Engine games, references No One Lives Forever, the DX8 version, a lot. In Sudden-Attack, there's a loop function called Game Loop that is basically the engine and a C shell call to execute. In addition, since Sudden-Attack is a single processor game, or single-threaded so to speak, these two issues can cause FPS abnormalities that are unpredictable, such as seriously fast game time calculations and incorrect weapon recoil movements. Sounds and animations can also be fast, rendering the game basically unplayable. If you're referring to the res files in JSA, KSA, especially during the Netmarble era, also had this system, but it's just a tar compressed file without any encryption. This system has some advantages and disadvantages, but the biggest disadvantage is that you have to re-upload the big res file, even when you make a small modification. In Sudden-Attack, there was a patch feature that allowed you to open and close res files, but it also created a loophole that allowed illegal skins to be inserted into middle. This situation does not make the game safer with or without res files. To safely prevent texture and sound variations, it's probably best to encrypt the files and release them to patches, examples given patch 1 and patch 2 files like CSGO or Valorant. But this also has its own drawbacks, such as the game size will increase, not to mention the inclusion of cut or unused content after several patches. Make sure that the game files to have valid checksum, and if not, reject the entry. It may be possible that the Team Deathmatch server is using the older server file. If they mentioned about packet issues, there is no clear answer, but it is possible that the server wasn't fit for a newer weapon, like custom M4A1, which uses more complex method to get the weapon data. During the 64-bit test server, you mentioned that the instant respawn item didn't disconnect you. That probably means that they most likely updated server code too. NGS, aka Black Cipher, is a supposedly anti-cheat that detects whether any illegal programs went with the game or not. However, the execution is very outdated and the method of detection is obsolete. They claim that they update every some time, but as far as I'm concerned, it puts more effort for Nexon workers, but less of an outcome. Not only that, but Sudden-Attack is a very old game, where at this point hackers with experience can detect how to inject and bypass NGS. The problem with any system is that it's possible to break the code. There is no such thing as universal antidote. Other games with supposedly new anti-cheat even gets broken very easily, notably Alliance of Firearms and EAC. For now, I think it's best to make it harder for hackers to access the game by delaying their responses and spend more time securing the system. Or, like CSGO, have a trust factor for each user, such as matching users of similar trustworthiness, or reducing trust if they behave suspiciously. There are many ways to improve game security, but if you are not limited to overloading the game code with virtualization or rewrite, it becomes heavier to run, especially in weaker computers. I really do not have much to say, just that Nexon should regulate more the balance between profit and product quality. I know that every company needs to make money to stay up, but the feeling that every player has is that companies do not really care about the player, but how much they can profit from the project or game. At least so far, according to the 64-bit patch, they are going in the right direction. Viewers of this channel, if you have any questions, please let me know by comments. I will answer for those who are curious as needed.